Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a film review. Tonight we are visiting a Sherlock Holmes film. As you know, I've been on my channel, I've been playing Sherlock Holmes video game, which I've been enjoying so much. So I thought tonight we're going to visit a classic Sherlock Holmes horror film, and we're watching Murder by Decree. Now, this is a fantastic film. It stars Christopher Plummer, it stars James Mason, it stars Sir John Gielgud, it stars Donald Sutherland. It's a great cast, and this is Sherlock Holmes investigating Jack the Ripper. So I thought, wow, what a great story to sort of like tackle. Christopher Plummer plays Sherlock Holmes, and James Mason plays Dr. Watson, and they are comically genius in this film. They're absolutely fantastic. Now, this is based in obviously Victorian London around the Jack the Ripper murders of Whitechapel, and Sherlock Holmes has been asked by the locals to help investigate to catch the killer. These are local people that own local businesses and shops, because they're losing business because all their shops are in like the back streets and stuff, and they're not getting any business because no one dares go there. Now, if they're in the high street, they're generally safe, but these are the shops that are in the back streets, and they've come to ask for his assistance because the police don't really want anything him to get involved with it. There's a new sort of leader of the Scotland Yard, and he doesn't like Sherlock Holmes, but Sherlock Holmes sort of susses him out, and he discovers that he's a Freemason, and he knows all the secret handshakes and that. So he's put a wondering in this guy's mind if he's a Freemason. So he's then been allowed to get involved and investigate with his crimes. And we meet Mr. Reed, who's played by Donald Sutherland, and he's like this sort of chap that's got this sort of psychic abilities, and he sort of knows when he thinks he's seen the killer, and he thinks he knows who he is. So Holmes keeps going back to him and visiting him to see what it is that he knows. And while this is happening, I mean, we start the film with an array of murders. We get like strangulations. There's a you know, the Jack the Ripper kills. There's throat slits. There's body parts removed and all this sort of thing, all this going on. Now, we don't visually see very much of that, simply because this is a 12 certification. So we're not going to get into the in-depth. And of course, this is a British film. We do not show those sort of things. I don't know the year of the film, but it is down on a vintage classic label, so it's going to be a vintage classic of British cinema. So you're not going to get that sort of extreme sort of blood. There is some in it. We see some of the victims post attacks with the sort of bloodied faces and stuff like that. Hence why it's a 12 certification. And it's wonderful to see him play Sherlock Holmes. We see traditional sites of there. We see Baker Street. We see the streets of Whitechapel. Now, the Whitechapel shots are all filmed at night with like a fog all over it, giving it like a sort of fog, dirty old London look, and it works really well. But there is a negative to get to that, and I'll get to that. And Sherlock Holmes is deep onto the case, trying to discover who this killer is and try and stop these women being murdered. And so he speaks quite a lot with Mr. Reed, like I said, played by Donald Sutherland, to try and help and assist with his crimes, whilst he's battling all the time with the police. And it's wonderful to see him searching clues. He wears his disguises. At one point he dresses up as the chimney sweep, and at one point, you know, he's a master detective, and it is absolutely wonderful. I'm going to score this film an amazing watch and give it a 9 out of 10. It would have got a 10 out of 10, but there is one or two negatives coming up. Now, the positives of the film, it's wonderfully acted, and it's the photography is fantastic, but slightly lit down. Um, Not because of the actual photography, it's because more to do with the print. The cast is absolutely wonderful. The story is brilliant, and I'm just thinking, wow, it's if you've ever seen the Johnny Depp film From Hell, I think that's almost taken a massive, massive influence from this film. As there's a lot of investigations, you see little similarities, especially with things like the grapes and things like that. But this is a classic Sherlock Holmes investigation, and it's cool. And I will be bringing some more Sherlock Holmes to my channel in the near future with my favourite Sherlock Holmes. I won't let you know who he is till then. But this is wonderful. What an amazing film. Christopher Plummer plays so well with Sherlock Holmes, so believable. And Watson is hilarious. There's one scene in the film when Watson is chasing a little green pea around a plate trying to stab it with his fork, and he just can't. So Holmes grabs his fork and splatters the pea, and then Dr. Watson is disgusted by this, and he's like, "You squashed my pea." and then he goes into a conversation about, and Sherlock Holmes says, "Well, I was trying to help you, because you're chasing it around." Goes, "But, you squashed my pea. I don't like it like that. I like my pea whole, because when it's in my mouth, I can feel it pop when I bite on it," sort of thing. And they have a conversation about a pea. It's fantastic. There's little quirky sort of conversations going on. And there's a bit of clumsiness between them, which is fantastic. It brings a little bit of humour into such a dark story. Now, the negatives of the film is the print. It's fine. I mean, when you're in the daylight or in a room and it's well lit, it looks really nice. There is some natural grain to the film, but that doesn't bother me. It's just some of the night scenes in the fog. The fog is so dense that it almost distorts the face slightly, like it's from a real old, like you're watching it on an old TV. I don't mean like TV, I mean like a really old sort of Ferguson TV from the 70s. You get a bit of motion blur, you get a bit of distortion in the face, and it's only because the fog's too hot and the print hasn't been cleaned up in those sort of scenes. It probably is quite hard, but I don't know. I think this would work amazing if it had a 4K restoration. That is the only negative. It doesn't take it away from the film. The film is phenomenal, and it's definitely one of the best Sherlock Holmes films I've ever seen. And it's probably one of the great storylines. I don't know what my favourite one is. Hounds of the Baskervilles by Hammer must be my favourite, I think. But this is a close second. It's fantastic because this is like a real traditional Sherlock Holmes in London, in Baker Street, in Whitechapel. And it's cool. You can make out some of its fake backgrounds and stuff like that, which is one of the negatives. And I think it's only again down to the print. It's sort of like that doesn't look right. And like I said, in the nighttime fog, that's what takes it away from it, and that's what's made it drop a little point in my score. So, Murder by Decree, 9 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below what you think of it. It is a great film. It is a fantastic Sherlock Holmes. It really does sort of like cover every ground. We see Sherlock Holmes with his pipe, with his cap, playing a violin. It's got all the classic sort of traits of Holmes in it. And his study is fantastic. Absolutely wonderful. And there's loads of little co-stars by famous British actors in there, people that I've seen from Porridge, all this sort of thing. And there's some great actors in the film. Horrible Ives from Porridge is in the film, and it's really, really cool. It just plays out so well. And Donald Sutherland plays a really good part as this sort of like Mr. Reed, this sort of psychic guy. Looks very drawn and very pale, and it looks really old, but he plays the part really well. It's so cool. The characters in this film are phenomenal. I will highly recommend you to get this if you're into Sherlock Holmes. It says here, the best Sherlock Holmes movie ever made. You can't be far wrong from that. Like I said, it's not my personal favourite, but I can see why they've written that. Now, mine is obviously the Hammer film Hounds of the Baskerville, but this is the close second, and it's fantastic. Guys, go and check out some horror channels for me. Check out Horror Hands, Horror Geek, Man v Film, RS Design, Pizzawell. I am Ice Lord, Cat Watches Horror Movies, Grumpy Andrews, Haunted House, and The Maniac. And a massive shout out to the lad. Till next time, elementary, my dear friends, look after yourselves, and I really hope I see you all soon.